Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are two retired New York City police detectives with over 20 years of law enforcement. And if you like all things true crime related from that police detective's perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace somewhere over here when we go live or upload another video. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great returning guest. He's an expert in the auto crime business. He knows everything about the infotainment system, the black boxes. He came on and gave us a lot of information in regards to Kylie Rodney. So if you followed the Kylie Rodney case and you've been following me and Ed, you'll know Tommy, our next guest that we're going to be having on tonight. He's going to tell us everything about the infotainment system, the Sirius satellite radio, and the black box inside a 2022 Chrysler Pacifica limited edition. Ed, how's it going? What are you up to today?
I'm down the house in Jersey.
Did you have dinner? Are you ready for an hour live stream here tonight?
I did not have dinner. I will be eating afterwards. A late dinner tonight.
Well, as I always like to do with you, Ed, we want to give special thanks to our Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all of the folks who positively engage in Crime Time with DutyRon, the community. We are just so appreciative of all of you guys. The engagement that you provide here on Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace is second to none. So kudos to all of you guys, and thank you to the moderators, replay viewers, and everybody that's coming in. Ed, they hit you up with a lot of questions. You get a lot of questions in the comment section.
Oh yeah, I love it. You know, I love teaching, so I love to answer their questions, and there are many good questions out there.
Absolutely. And for those of you web sleuths and folks who are paying attention, Ed's at a undisclosed location, and there's a little bit of an echo in the background because he has cathedral ceilings. So I just want to put that out there. So those of you who are checking in and notice a little bit of audio stuff, my Google Plus and Google Internet Detectives, that's what's going on here. So let's say hello to a couple of folks who are joining. Trucker Steve is here, Alicia B, Joey Brooklyn, Denise, Angela, Joe Murray's right-hand woman. She's the better half, Joe Murray's team. Lorna McKenzie, Ed, got a couple of friends of yours here. They're all checking in. Kimberly is here.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out though, right? We have to give a shout out to one of our special guests, all right? His name is Perrin. Perrin, I hope you're watching and enjoy the flags in the background.
Perrin, this is for you, my friend. That is for you. And he, according to his mom, he is watching our live streams from beginning to end because of the American flags. He loves the flags. Ed, you have it in the background, the stars and stripes. So awesome. We want to say again, thank you for watching us, and thank you for being here, and thank you, Mom, for being a great supporter of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed. All right, let's jump right into it. For those of you who are following, again, this live stream tonight is going to be pinpointed to the 2022 Pacifica of Debbie Collier. She was, seen on videotape going into the Family Dollar and then driving 17 miles or give or take 17 miles, 20-minute ride to her last known location where she was found deceased. So this is a big sticking point with a lot of people. We have a small demo video that's up that we're going to show, but let's bring in our guest. Let's get right into it with Tommy, because he's had a long day and we want to cut him loose. We don't want him to fill out an overtime slip, because if he does, it's going to break us. Tommy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, Ron. Hey, Ed, how's it going?
Good, Tom.
Yeah, so Tom is an auto crime expert. He knows everything about the black boxes, all of the vehicle diagnostics on an assortment of vehicles. He's been in the business doing this stuff for quite a long time. So, Tom, I appreciate you taking out the time. This case has international audience. There's people watching from all over the world, not just here in the United States. People are really wanting to know about the information that can be obtained from this type of vehicle. Can you just give a little bit of some of your backgrounds, without going into details, what kind of qualifications you got to give us some data here tonight?
I hope it's a 2-hour show. Former president of the International Association of Auto Theft Investigators. I've been in the law enforcement business for almost 40 years. 30 of those years have been with investigating different types of auto crime. I was one of the officers who identified the vehicle in Times Square bombing. I've done a lot of cases that were publicized. I did identify the vehicle used in the Levy Klutsky homicide, the Max Stark homicide. I do everything cause. I must have testified at least 90 times in various courts on auto-related topics. So.
Wow. Well, that's enough for me, because you could run circles around me with that resume, Tom. If you give me a bad guy to go chase down on fugitive enforcement, I know how to break in a door and go and tackle somebody. So it's quite a different situation. And as a matter of fact, your office used to be right above ours.
Right.
I was in warrants down on the second. Well, it's really like the first step going up.
Right.
So we called that the first floor, because down in the basement you didn't want to go down there. You guys are up on the second story, around up the metal staircase, and I was in and out of the office, so we definitely crossed paths quite a few times. Definitely. Yeah. Ed, I know that there's a lot of questions. There's a lot to dive into here, but we want to know, like, in an investigation like this, it involves a homicide, right? It involves a homicide, and what type of information? We know that the Sirius satellite radio folks, Sirius XM, kudos and shout out to them. They notified the law enforcement of the last. They called it a ping. Tom, you want to talk about how that goes down with these advanced radios?
Well, that's the common word, a ping, because what they do is it's not a constant relay between the vehicle and the system picking up the information. It's usually a couple of second delay. It could be even longer, and so that's why they call it a ping. So they're not getting it constantly. Like, all right, we got it, we just got it, and this is where the location is. So that's why they call it the ping. It's getting it's not getting a constant response back from it. It's getting a single response, a ping.
And
so
how often is that ping sent out to that radio?
Oh, it could be, like I said, a couple of seconds. It could be, every, minute or longer. It all depends on the vehicle and the system that's inside of it.
Each satellite radio usually has its own unique identification
Oh,
number.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's how they bill you, and that's how they track you.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how they know what you're listening to.
Right.
But in this particular case here, this vehicle was a enterprise rent-a-car. It's no secret that she was involved in a motor vehicle accident. Her car was in the shop. This is according to the news. Car was in the shop, and she was given because she has a pickup truck. She was given a model vehicle. I guess this was the closest they came to her vehicle. I know that I've had rentals plenty of times from Enterprise. It's obvious that the Sirius satellite radio was functioning, because if it didn't have a subscription, wouldn't it be difficult for them to access it, or would it be easy, Tom, to access that?
They wouldn't be able to access it at all, because, like I said, Ed was saying that, they're looking to bill you. They're looking to gain something from you. So if you're not paying a subscription on it, they're not looking at you.
Right.
So they're basically shutting you down. So it has to be activated. And that's the same thing with, like, when you talk about OnStar. Does the car have like OnStar? Does it have a back and forth between a outside vendor? If you don't, if you're not part of it, you got to be in it to win it. So they're not doing anything with it. They're not looking at your vehicle. just for the sheer fact you're not paying them.
Right. And Chrysler uses the Uconnect system for
Right.
their it's not like on, it's it's similar like OnStar.
Right.
They use Uconnect, and I guess that's the Chrysler branded thing.
Right.
And
Even a Jeep, all the Chrysler products have that.
right. What does the Uconnect do that's different than what satellite radio does, Tom?
Well, satellite radio is just transmitting information to your radio, and it will pick up whatever in the infotainment system, and of course its location. What Uconnect does is it's I wouldn't call it similar. It's more of a back and forth between the vehicle and the company Uconnect, rather than like how Sirius does the radio. They're not looking at your vehicle unless they're asked to do that. They're not. Sirius Radio's not saying, "Hey, listen, you need an oil change in the next 3 months or whatever."
Right.
They're not looking at that. But where Uconnect might look at that, it might be monitoring other systems that Sirius Radio isn't monitoring, meaning your airbag modules. Hey, has there been an airbag deployment? Let us call 911 for you. Very similar to the OnStar system.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Ed, I see you looking at the chat and you're smiling. You're seeing a lot of Sean Connery things, a lot of different stuff. What's happening?
One ping only, Vasily. One ping. Yeah, the hunt for Red October.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's quite a difference between that Uconnect system and the Sirius satellite radio. They're two separate entities run by two separate companies and so forth. But she did this traveling, and people want to know, like, hey, did this woman stop somewhere? Did she make a stop when she left that Family Dollar, or did she go straight on the road to her last known location and meet her demise at that spot? Will they be able to tell? And you talked about with Kylie Rodney that they actually extract that whole center console, and I'm going to show that in a minute. But is that in fact what goes on in a murder investigation like this? They took the car away on a jack, kind of wheels up in the air, and they towed it out of there. Is this what they do here, Tom?
Exactly. One of the things that interests me with this case is that it's a rental car. And a lot of rental cars now, what they do is they have a GPS unit in it, so they know where that rental car is at all times. And one of the reasons behind that is there's a lot of identity theft going on, and they don't want someone coming in, renting a vehicle, and the thing disappearing, so they'll GPS it. Now, I don't know if that's a national-wide program, but I do know that certain car rental companies do that. And in fact, they monitored it. So if you haven't returned your vehicle, what they'll do is they'll find out the location, and then when you turn off your car, you won't be able to start it. They actually cut the ignition on it, so they can recover it. Yeah. So I don't know if this vehicle had it, but that when we were talking about it was a rental car because she was having work done on her own car. That's the first thing that popped in my mind. Hey, listen, I wonder if that's GPS by the rental company, because they would have information on that, hopefully stored, of its locations. And then in regards to the infotainment system, I spoke about this system. They're like the vanguard for vehicle forensics when it comes to their computers, is Burla. And Burla can extract, depending on the vehicle, your basically everything on your cell phone, your pictures, your text messages, your contacts, what phone calls you made.
Yeah.
The GPS, the computer also might store GPS units, like I said, like pings, and you can geo-map it, almost make a map of where they went, this based on the pings.
Can you explain to the audience what the Burla is? Because people will be like, what is that?
Yeah, Burla is the name of the company. I don't even know what it means. I'll have to ask them one time.
Okay, so it's the company that's used to extract this data.
Right. And then there are other companies, but Burla is the vanguard. I've spoken to them at conferences many times. I know a few of the members. We talked about. I think last time we spoke about chips.
Yes.
Their investigation. Actually, California Highway Patrol has a burglar instructor that works for them, and he does most of their computer forensics. And the guy's unbelievable. I have had investigations where I recommend they contact him because he's like the man when it comes to these forensic downloads. So yeah, and once again, it's depending on your infotainment system will depend on what information you get from it. And there are advanced ways, and I think once again I mentioned this before. It's called a chip off. So it actually takes from your computer board a chip out of it, and they analyze that chip with their burglar software.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to show for the chat and everybody that's here. Hey, Tony, good to see you. Tony's from EquiSearch Midwest, and
Tony
he's
D.
a drone pilot. Twyla and EquiSearch sent out the drone today to, it's been out there for a while, but it's out there in Lucin, Utah. Lucin is where Dylan Rounds went missing from, the 19-year-old, May 28th, and his mom, along with Heavy D Sparks, their YouTube channel, they're flying the drone. They flew the drone out there today, and they're going to continue to look for Dylan Rounds. So there's a lot of great stuff going on in that case, and that's courtesy of EquiSearch Midwest. These guys are doing God's work. So thank you for what you do for searching for the missing. I'm going to show you guys on the screen. This is a 2022. This is the identical model. This is the Chrysler Pacifica Limited front-wheel drive. That's exactly the vehicle that Debbie Collier was given to from Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Tom, I'm going to take us off the screen. We're going to go full screen with this, but if there's anything that you want me to stop it at or talk about, you just let me know.
Center stack.
All right, so I got to go a little bit further.
This one does have heated and cooled front seats, heated steering wheel. It's got navigation. It's got the surround cam and the fam cam.
I'm going to stop it right there on the fam cam because a lot of people, I wasn't aware of this until yesterday. This is an onboard camera. Tom, you want to talk to the audience about what this fam cam is in this 2022 Pacifica?
Yeah, definitely. This is a device where a lot of these minivans are used for small families, large families, whatever. Soccer moms are packing the back seat full of their kids. So this enables them to look at the infotainment system while they're driving and not take their eye off the road to see how the kids are doing in the back seat. So it just basically records. It doesn't really record. It just shows you what's going on in the rear area without you turning around.
Now this is fascinating because what we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen, is a camera that's mounted in the interior of the Chrysler Pacifica, facing directly down at the second row. That's right behind the driver. I'm going to go on the camera here. This is the two buckets seats behind the driver and passenger. And this is the third row right back here. I don't know if everybody could see the cursor, but it's your view if you're looking at your monitor or your phone on the left. And then I'm not sure what this one is or what this is. It looks like it's
the seat behind the driver.
Right. Yeah.
So they have a single. Maybe they could switch it.
You can switch it.
Right. Okay. So there you go. And then this is the back cargo area back here. What's fascinating about this is that we, in the Debbie Collier case, we're all chomping at the bit with the idea of that there was somebody inside that car. The windows was tinted so dark that you couldn't see back there. So the question, the $1 million question here for Tom is, does this have a possibility of recording anywhere in the computer and this the central chip in this infotainment system? Is there any way to extract if there was somebody in that back seat? Is it activated by if someone sits down, or is it activated by the actual person themselves?
Well, just based on the video that we saw, you know, the person talking about the vehicle presses a button to activate it. So it's not. It doesn't. I don't believe it's any kind of automatic. If you have to manually turn it on. Since it's like that, I don't believe it records anything. It's more of like a backup camera for your car. Your backup camera's not recording, you know, every time you back up.
Right.
It's just showing you a view at that moment when, and that's it.
Right.
So you know, like you look at it and say, oh, why doesn't it do that? It's storing so much information already. It really doesn't have the space to store all these videos.
Now, many people may not know this, but since I rent a lot of cars in my travels, in my work around the nation, you know, you sign these agreements, and you know, it's like when you get an app. Nobody really reads the terms and conditions, okay? But you should, because if you look closely at this, a lot of these rental cars are monitoring your driving activity.
Absolutely.
And if they find that you're operating their vehicle in a manner that is not safe, or in a manner that's hazardous, more importantly, they will come and take the car away from you.
Well,
yeah. I thought, you know, for a second there when I saw this yesterday, I thought that we were onto something. And, you know, for me, this would have been a deal breaker if it did record just little snippets. Like I saw a few people in the chat. Maybe it goes to the SD card. It would have to be a tremendous SD card. And like Tom just said, every time you back up, the camera goes on. And they have that, which she showed, the overview surround sound 360 view outside of the vehicle. Many of the late model cars have it. If that was the case, you know, you'd have to have a pretty darn big, it wouldn't even be an SD card. You'd have to have a freaking, you know, hard drive inside the car. That's unfortunate, you know, that's unfortunate. But at the same time, there's so much technology also in this car. I wanted to ask you quickly, is there any other onboard computer, black box, as we say, that black box? What kind of data can investigators get to see if this car, in fact, did stop somewhere? Can you talk a little bit about that, Tom?
yeah, absolutely. Well, the black box just records airbag deployment. It will record speed, RPMs, you know, brakes applied and stuff like that. And that's activated at an accident. So that's usually what a highway investigator will look at an accident scene. He'll pull the black box out and determine, you know, how fast the car was going, etc. Now, the infotainment system is totally different. This is hooking up through other devices, and it's linked, as you see, on most infotainment systems to your navigation. So once again, it all depends on the vehicle. It all depends on the system. You might have another Pacifica, or you might have another Chrysler product who has a different system in there. But what you can get from that is, once again, your cell phone information, your contacts, what phone calls you made, etc. It also might be able to store GPS locations on previous trips, etc., within the system. And a lot of times you see that when, hey, what's my most recent trip? You know, return me there, because it stores your home. You know, bring me home. Press the button, it brings you home. But it should store some GPS information in there. I'm just curious. As it's a newer vehicle, the technology is always advancing. It might record what I call an incident. And what an incident is this is, if you open up the door, it's going to record that the door opened up at a certain time. So it might be able to record if the back door was open, if the driver's door is open. It will determine if the car was turned on or turned off, etc. And that's why when you see a vehicle being recovered that's in for investigation, it's always flatbedded because they want to limit their amount of time, like a crime scene. They don't want to disturb a crime scene. That vehicle now is a crime scene, so they want to limit their access to anything inside that vehicle. Limit the amount of time you have the vehicle on. If you open a door, etc. Because what happens is, if you do that, if you drive the vehicle back to a location to be investigated, you might be looping over other information that you need for the investigation.
Yeah.
So
When you say looping over, you mean writing over
yeah, absolutely,
previously stored information.
absolutely. Yeah.
Now, since you brought it up, Tom, I have a civil rights kind of question.
Okay.
When you talked about accident investigation, like if you get into a serious car accident with fatalities or someone's likely to die, and then the AI investigations detectives, do they need a warrant to take that information off the black box?
Yes, they do.
Okay, I thought so. And another thing too, we talked about, you know how we have sensors in the seats. It'll tell you if somebody's seated there, then the weight of that person activates the sensor, and then that in turn alerts that whether or not you're wearing a seatbelt or turns on the airbags for for those things. Now all of that information gets recorded somewhere as well too, right?
Yeah, it's in the system. I was laughing when you said that because I have seen reports, like you said, the weight of a person. I've seen reports on that type of information pulled from the system. And on some reports, and like I said, this is not for every vehicle, it actually says male or female. So I really don't know how they do that, right? But it's always set at a gauge. So like I said, the information I've seen in cases like that where they produce a weight of a person in a vehicle. Like I said, hey, if you're going to put a baby in the front seat, you don't want the same type of airbag deployment as if you had a 300-pound person there. And that's why they had the sensors in there, to prevent any kind of excessive airbag expansion onto a child. So it will be, say the weight is set at 100, it will be like plus 50. So meaning the guy weighs 150 pounds, or the female weighs 150 pounds. So I have seen that, and I'm always very curious of how accurate the information is, and how they figure out what sex it is.
I don't know about that, but I know from time to time, like I'll put a heavy backpack on the seat,
right,
and the light will go off. Now it's registered that somebody is in there,
right,
and now it's activating the airbag system for that seat.
Right. I do the same thing. I put it like a duffel bag on the front seat because I'm going to work, and it's telling me there's somebody sitting there.
Right. And then the seatbelt alarm goes off if you don't put the seatbelt on.
Right. And some of these, like I said, there's all different types of protective devices in a vehicle, and a lot of that information is stored in the car, especially during an accident.
Yeah.
So there's different types of seatbelts. There's a seatbelt that has like a shotgun charge onto it, that when you're in an accident, it actually goes off and it pulls the seatbelt to hold you back so the airbag can fill in the space and protect you more. So these are all different safety devices. Stuff like that, they want to record because it's a liability issue. So that's why a lot of that information is still recorded.
Hey, I want to jump in and say thank you to Katie Jean for the super sticker. We appreciate the support here on Crime Time with DutyRon, and thank you to all the new channel members. If you guys are not yet subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload a video. Again, we have our specialists that come on, our experts, and Tom, he's got limited time here, so I want to jump right into this thing. So here's a recording from the day of her recovery. You're talking here, a local news agency. They're down there at there's a ravine, short way back there. But up on the screen, you hear it says, Tom, the next day, the satellite radio service in her rented van tipped off police to her location. Now, some internet detectives would say, how, if this car was turned off, were they able to get the location? Now, are they going on the last location while it was on when it parked there? And that's what I would answer that question to. But we have an expert here, so why not ask you that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going off the last time it recorded its location.
Yeah. So if someone was to tow this vehicle out of there, they would only be able to get where it was when it was on. Like, in
It
other
would,
words,
it would still show it being at the same location.
okay, gotcha. Well, I mean, I thought that was a good thing. Technology comes in a good way. You know, Ed's talking about civil rights violations. We're talking about finding somebody when they were, murdered. So this is a good thing. Anything else diagnostic wise that we're going to see in a few minutes here that they flatbed this thing out of here? And here in this shot, we could see clearly in the badging right here. This is how I knew it was a limited, because I was a little leery. Like, wait a minute, Enterprise. I always get cars in their bags of shit when I get a call from Enterprise. Like, how did this woman get? And this is no dig to the Enterprise over in Athens, Georgia. But how did she wind up with a limited? And it says it clearly that you can see the badging on the right here. It says limited. So, but that's how I was able to confirm that this, in fact, was a fully loaded model. And you could tell by the alloy rims and the whole style. And that video that we had, that we showed the demonstration, is the same exact vehicle. It's just white,
And you look at the back of it, you actually see the GPS antenna up there. It looks like a little shark fin.
Yeah, right above this guy's head right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and again, I know from experience when I get my vehicles from Enterprise, because a lot of people, Ed, this is up your alley for a question. People were like, well, how are they going to get fingerprints from the inside or do any forensics on the inside when these rental vehicles see so many people's hands? And I know that when Enterprise gives me a car, they wash the outside, the whole inside. I take like a wipe and I wipe the steering wheel. It's filthy dirty. So what do you do when you come across a car like this that's rented, a rental vehicle?
Well, listen, since the advent of COVID, these rental car agencies have been more diligent in their cleaning of the interiors of these vehicles in between customers. All right, because they're trying to avoid lawsuits, or people getting sick from renting their cars. So in fact, when you even get in it now, they tell you what they did. There's a little note in there that we did this, and this, and oh, by the way, here's a courtesy alcohol wipe, or disinfectant that you could use. So
it's like the hotels, right? Like the hotels do that too.
The vehicles are much more cleaner now post COVID than they were before COVID.
Well, I remember they were cleaning the subway cars every night. That quickly stopped. They were doing. Remember that whole routine? There's a lot of overtime being made.
Well, that was the problem with COVID. Is initially the transit authority did not take decontaminating these vehicles, their trains, seriously in the beginning of COVID, and the COVID spread in those high density locations very easily. And it was only later that they started to realize this and decontaminate them.
Yeah. So this is them, not flatbedding it, but taking it out so it's not hitting the ground and not moving. So I thought this was a good thing that they did that. Ed pointed it out that they had the wheels, and this is the medical examiner backing in to do the removal. But again, there were so many questions, and I thought that this was important to kind of get an expert on here to kind of stop the rumors or false information. The info that we like to put out is, that verified, right, straight from somebody who's who does this for a living. So it's a good thing that was a high-end Chrysler Pacifica Limited is the highest model. I think there was one other model up, a Platinum or something. Don't hold me to that, internet Google warriors. There's one more level up, and it's got an S in it, and it's like above the Limited. It's like Limited Platinum or something like that. I want to search to the chat if you don't mind, and then we'll wrap it up. It's 35 minutes. I promised you 45, and you're out. So, Tommy, it'd be all right if we take some questions from the live chat?
Absolutely. Can I just clarify something? You asked about, hey, listen, when the car is turned off, is there any kind of information exchange? with the GPS and Sirius radio.
Right.
And I said, no, there isn't. It's given this last location. But I want to make it clear, though, that it does give out, it does transmit information back and forth. And the example I use is this: it's like a mother duck looking for its chicks. It's always sending out something to, hey, listen, where's, the car's actually asking, where's my key? You know what I mean? It wants to, it's always looking for its key. That's why when you approach it, most of these newer cars, you just press a button if you have the key fob in your pocket and it opens up. So there is a transmission of information back and forth, but it's not on the GPS side of it.
Would they be able to tell? Thank you for clarifying that, Tom. Would they be able to tell if this car was driving erratically? Like Ed said, they have it's like State Farm and Progressive. They got those little chips that you put in where they check when they do the diagnostics. Would there be any information like if this car was driving erratically or swaying back and forth, where there's like a struggle or something going on with it being operated? Anything?
And once again, I'm trying to describe it in real life. If you have a GPS on your car, usually most of the newer GPS units will actually have the speed of, what the local speed is.
Right, the speed limit, yeah.
Yeah, and then your speed. So, yes, it's going to be recorded.
Yeah.
But I'm not, only time, like I said, this is newer technology. They have this lane avoidance,
lane departure warnings, yes,
right.
The accident avoidance systems, they're all on. And when you have them all on and you have them set, and also the reactive cruise control.
Right.
If you have that all set, they're working off of all this information. So when you have a lane departure, it then sends you a warning, like a vibration in the seat or in the steering wheel, and that's recorded.
Right.
Okay. And if you are making lane changes without your signal light on, you'll have, like, in your mirrors, you'll have your side view mirrors, you'll have little pictures of the vehicle, and it's warning you and flashing saying, hey, you're too close, don't make the lane change.
Right.
And if you do, despite what that says, that gets recorded.
Right. And just the problem with that is, once again, it's recording all this information. It might get written over depending on how much the car is.
Right.
Yeah. And this is a rental vehicle, but it is the limited edition, so it's got all these extra bells and whistles. And I was quite surprised. Again, I'm reiterating that again. I was very surprised about that. For those of you who are coming in, just joining, this is Tom. He's an expert in auto crime, everything diagnostic, black box, tech, all tech with cars. He is, I could call him the tech guru because he knows it. I like to. I'm calling you that. Too bad. Too bad.
I have two nicknames: the Car Geek, and that was from one of my cases. Some big boss called me the Car Geek, and then the one I like is the Legend. I had a little embarrassed when people call me that.
I got labeled something out in Suffolk County. I was called the crime scene Nazi.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, hell no.
She's back.
I fixed it. Right after the other night. Yesterday when we went live. I went right to my soundboard and I was like, I got to get that back. So I didn't see any questions in the chat, which is shocking. Usually we get a ton of questions. There's something about the tints, but we know the tints are really dark. Yes, it's legal. It's factory. Chrysler and all of these minivans, for whatever, I guess, whatever it is, the tints are dark. Look at this older minivan here. And obviously it's the medical examiner, but it's dark and it doesn't look like this thing was tinted up, because this window is not tinted on the passenger side. I mean, you would argue, okay, they're putting bodies back there, so it's got to be tinted kind of dark, but it looks like standard tint on this this minivan. Yeah.
So Sleuthy Goosey, what's your question?
Yeah, Sleuthy Goosey. I'm surprised that she doesn't have any questions.
She says, I have a question, but what is it? Okay.
I'm waiting. Yeah.
We're waiting with bated breath.
All right. Tim Sparks says, I'm confused about the house key. Why would Debbie tell her daughter where a key was to get in the house? she didn't live alone and has her husband able to get in the house. And you know what? I can add to that, Tim, is why was she in the house when the husband came home to report his wife missing? The daughter was in the house. So that's another thing that people are not speaking quite a bit about.
Yeah, well, that's what I
Sleuth.
said. That's why I said the other day, there's a conversation here between the mother and the daughter that, you know, prior to all of this. And, you know, the daughter just moved back, by the way. Okay. So she may not have had a key there. And the mother told her, okay, this is where the key is to let yourself in. So there's stuff that happened prior to all of this that we need to get to the bottom of.
Right.
And now, Sleuthy, will they be able to see what time the car was stopped and turned off and not turned on again to determine when she arrived at that location? Good question. Tom, do you have any input on that?
They should be able to. They should be able to extract that information. Yes.
One of these systems in these cars that I can't stand is this automatic shutoff when you come to a stop. Like,
right.
So these new vehicles, to save gas, right? You'll be driving, you hit a stop sign or you hit a red light and you come to a full stop, and then the car shuts off. And then the car will automatically start up again once you take your foot off the brake and hit the accelerator.
Yeah. Yeah. Sleuthy is always full of a lot of questions. So she's saying she also appears at the crime scene before second set of law enforcement have time to arrive. She also spoke to her mother that afternoon on the phone. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot a lot of questions to answer, you know, and I'm 100% sure that interview and interrogation was done on not only Amanda, but her boyfriend. They're both, especially him, he's acting very paranoid. And I think that in my eyes, you know, and I'm retired, so I'm able to do this. I feel that both of them wreak a lot of guilt in everything that they're doing and every way that they're acting publicly. Now, we don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. We don't know what kind of cooperation that they're giving to the police and to the investigation. So that, you know, that puts us at a little bit of a disadvantage. Steve Jobs' adopted girlfriend. Wow, that's a pretty interesting one. I know her. Thank you for this question. DutyRon, does the front seat have a headrest? Because on a video I saw, it appears a rounded top on the seat, the passenger side. So was it a headrest? Was it a head or a headrest? I didn't see anybody in the passenger seat from the video that you're referring to, but I'm pretty sure that we saw that. Tom, do you remember what the interior of that car had for the passenger side? I think it's a fixed seat. Right?
Yeah, I think it's like a regular bucket seat, a high back bucket seat. I think the ones in the back had headrest on it. Because what I can recall on that.
Well, if you go back to that video, I believe there was an entertainment system in the headrest of the driver and passenger seat.
Yeah, but she's talking about the front seat.
Yeah, the front seat. There it is to your left.
Yeah.
No.
That was that. When you get in, when they open up that sliding middle door, you'll see the headrest right here.
Okay,
it's gonna look to your left. You'll see the headrest with an entertainment system in it.
That's the back.
No.
Headrest. It's to the left.
Yeah, it does have a headrest.
Oh yeah, there it is.
See?
Headrest. Yeah, right there. All right, Steve Jobs' girlfriend, headrest.
Okay, now I see a question here. I'm going to post it. Okay, Karen. Ed, I'm 5'1" and always put my seat back when I get out of the car. Why do police always say check how far the seat was back? Now, in some of the models of the vehicles that don't have like these memory positions for the drivers, then you have to manually put the seat into your driving position, and based upon the size of the driver, you'll get different distances away from the brakes and the pedals and the steering wheel and so forth. And so if you're saying, yourself that this is a practice that you do, that would have to be found out in the investigation. Okay, that this is your practice, that you would push the seat back. So instead, because we would look at that and say, well, you're 5'1" and this seat is way back. How is the person operating the vehicle? And so, I would not know that as a crime scene investigator. That would be the squad detective's responsibility to go and do, some information checking after I told them, well, this is the position I found the seat in, and seems a little further back than somebody 5'1" would be in when they were driving.
Excellent. Jean Ann, this is a good question. Tom already covered this, but she said, will the car track when and what doors opened and closed like Barry Morphew's case? Yes, that's a yes. Even the back hatch. Any of the doors open, including probably the hood as well of the engine compartment, they'll know when a door is ajar or is opened. What auto shut off? There's an auto shut off, right? And you turn the key off of or if you shut the vehicle off, there's a period of time that power stays into the car. When you open up the door, it automatically shuts off. So I'm not sure if that's what the question was.
Well, and I think it was maybe what I was talking about earlier, when you come to a stoplight in the gas saving feature of these new vehicles is it automatically shuts the engine off while
Right.
you're sitting at that stoplight with your foot on the brake. As soon as you release the brake, then the engine starts up again.
Yeah. Hey, I want to say thank you to Anthony Candela, a corrections officer from upstate New York. He's a new channel member, not only here, but also on Police Off the Cuff, Sergeant Retired Homicide Detective Sergeant Bill Cannon and Phil Grimaldi. So thank you for being a channel member here on Crime Time with DutyRon and also on Police Off the Cuff. Thank you for supporting us retired old guys, We appreciate you. I think that's about it. Hold on. No, this is not related to. This is about the case. Anything else, Tom? Anything else that you could add to this thing?
No, you'll have, people are asking, what doors and stuff like that. We talked about that before. It all depends on like the system that's in the vehicle, on the information they're getting. A lot of times, a vehicle will record an incident, meaning a door opening, etc., but it won't record what door. But once again, this is a newer vehicle. It's a higher end vehicle. It probably will record, more specific information. So that's one good part about this case. You probably have a system that they'll be able to get information from.
Yeah. Yeah. How about this one, Tom? Schmitty, Witty Schmitty. She changed her screen name. It used to just be Schmitty. Now it's Schmitty, Witty Schmitty. She says, question, is the check back seat saved in the black box if it came on?
Well, once again, the black box is different from the infotainment system. The black box records airbag deployment, accident information. It records, the first 5 seconds before the accident and then 5 seconds after the accident. So from there, speed, RPM, breakage, etc., steering will be recorded in the black box. The anything that goes through the dashboard, like you said before, hey, listen, I opened the door, you'll see a light go on, door open. That will probably get recorded within the infotainment system because it's going through a module, through the electronic control module, which stores that information.
Yeah.
And to answer Tony D's question, and we learned this from one of our other cases, no, they are not like the airplane black boxes, and they're not waterproofed like that.
Yeah. And thank goodness in this case, we didn't have a vehicle in the water like Kylie Rodney. And it's a 2022. As these things advance, as the years go on, everything gets advanced, right, Tom?
Oh, yeah.
It must be difficult to keep up with the technology. Is there in-service training that you guys do in the FBI and all these secret squirrel squads? What goes on with the training and this stuff?
Oh, it's very extensive now with these computer forensics. There is different types of certification. Like I said, this company Burla is like the vanguard of it. They give out this training, they supply the equipment, etc. And it's not a ground ball type of course. Everyone's not getting 100. There's a lot of people that fail it actually.
Wow.
And they're still paying thousands of dollars to get the training and can't complete the course. But that whole system and withdrawal of information is out there. There is various units in-house in various police departments. And I spoke about it at the last, we brought up chips
Yes.
And their investigation into the vehicle last time, you know, the police department's embedded with these technicians, and especially the younger guys, because they're more used to it because they grew up with the technology, are able to keep up with what the manufacturers are doing.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be more and more. And you know, one of the things, you know, when we talk about motor vehicles, you know, in house, you know, we basically say, hey, a motor vehicle is basically a computer on wheels, and especially with the new, you know, hybrid type vehicles, all electronic vehicles, you know, self-driving, and that technology is just going to increase as time goes on.
I got to laugh because I drove my 69 Mustang into a Ford dealership, and a mechanic came out, and you know there were some guys around the car that wanted to see the engine, and I put the hood up. Now this is a master Ford mechanic looked at this car. The kid could be no more than maybe 24 years old, and he looked at the distributor and he said, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh God, oh my God, it's gotten that bad that you don't know what a distributor is." You know, is a master mechanic. You know, because they don't deal with this. They don't deal with the old school cars.
Right. Hey, I wanted to ask you, Tom, before we let you go. You know, it's been said, and it's been talked about quite a bit, and everyone was anticipating the FBI getting involved in this case. If the FBI was to come in and supplement this case, I mean, technology wise, you know, for reading these black boxes and doing all the tech on the car, that has to be advantage local law enforcement. No,
I've always said, you know, when it comes to different types of investigations, you know, some are like if you have a wiretap up, that's expensive to have a wiretap up. So you want to follow the money. So the federal government has, you know, is the standard for investigations. The FBI is, you know, that's their claim to fame. Hey, listen, we have the best lab, we have the best stuff, and they do have a lot of technology. They use a lot more technology, easier than say a local police department would. You know, I've seen them basically put vehicles in a tent and vacuum out what's ever picked up in that, like any kind of loose fibers or whatever, like suck them out of the car so they can analyze them for a case. Wow. So, you know, this is, you know, they'll have that technology where I don't know the department that this occurred in, but, you know, most departments would not have that ability to do that.
Yeah, you know, I processed the Conte and Kenneth Kimes Lincoln Town car in the garage of 26 Federal Plaza. I spent 36 hours. I put the car in the tent, and after I did all this forensic work up on the car, and I and created a tent and put it in there, and I crazy glued the entire vehicle interior and exterior for fingerprints and all this stuff.
How much overtime did you make on that, Ed?
Oh, I made buku overtime on that one.
Hey, I want to get to the super chats before they go away. Anthony Tony Candela, corrections officer, great friend of the channel now. Thank you for your service. Oh, Ed, okay, let's put you full screen and show that. But I want to say thank you for this super chat. He says, all brilliant minds on DutyRon with Ed and Police Off the Cuff, top-notch NYPD. Thank you, Detective Tom, for your brilliant expertise. What is that's it?
Yeah, it's a little
nice.
Let's see.
Yeah,
any better?
Good. It's coming across good. Now, the closer you get,
back.
Yeah,
okay.
right there.
Let me darken the light here.
Yeah, it looks like an altered VIN vehicle.
Uh-oh.
Tom's already he's ready to collar you for some overtime.
Hey, Tom, you know, it's funny. You should know that an auto crime detective that specializes in Mustang found that was hired by my wife to go out to California and check this Mustang out before she purchased it for me.
Wow. Yeah. Good idea.
Wow. Wild Z Pony, thank you for the $50 super sticker. Much love and respect to you. Hope one day I can take my wife out to see your horses. She's got a YouTube channel where she shows all the horses that she rides, and she's a great supporter of Police Off the Cuff and Crime Time with DutyRon. Hey Tom, how much does when you use these services? I know you probably won't know about the cell phone stuff, but it's been said that they charge a lot of money to do these these cell phone dumps and so forth. It,
Absolutely.
what's the going rate? Is there talk around in the squad about that?
It's going to be several $1,000s.
Several $1,000s
Yeah,
per dump? Per dump?
yeah, per dump.
Wow.
So, and they various police departments have try to do different things in house. Some of the stuff, like there's a company called Teal that is once again a forensic company that extracts information from um, cell phones and from vehicles like Burla does, and the Burla training several $1,000s, Teal training several $1,000s, and then the equipment itself is $20,000, and that's just in house. You're paying for all this,
shit.
and then like I said, you have. It's like any kind of skill. If if you're not using it on a daily basis, you kind of lose a little bit of it. If you're sending this stuff out to to them to do, it's going to cost thousands of dollars.
Hey, Tom, you got a new nickname.
What's that?
Angela named you the Auto Savant.
Yeah.
I was like 10 minutes to caddy, 10 minutes to caddy.
Yeah. Angela's a retired police officer from our job too, and she says, "Here's a new name for Tom, the Auto Savant." I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. All right, so we held him almost an hour, so let's let him go. Anybody else with any last minute questions? Or Tom, do you have anything in this case? Like, listen, we're hoping that the information from this vehicle will be plentiful, and they'll be able to at least narrow down, a time of death for her. She was discovered some hours later after this vehicle pinged over there on September 11th. So, anything in words of inspiration for
Ron, I'm going to agree with you on something. It's like something fishy going on with this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's people that are close to this, to her that know more information than anybody else does. It just points in that direction. Hopefully the vehicle will, be the key. And I always say this, motor vehicles are the keys to so many solving so many crimes, and people don't even realize that.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of overlooked. So,
I think you gave us a percentage of that too, Tom, on our last get together, right? There was like
75% of all crimes, and I'm talking robberies, rapes, murder, involve a motor vehicle, and that's nothing I came up with. That's the FBI came up with that.
75%.
Yeah, so 3 out of 4 crimes, and like I said, I can sit here and I mentioned it before, the Times Square bomber or attempted bomber. That was a VIN case. That was a vehicle identification number led to that terrorist being arrested. And then I can sit here, like I said, for days and talk about various cases where the car was the key to that investigation. So hopefully the car's a key to this one. It clearly looks like there's a great possibility that it could happen.
Cars, electronic evidence. Look, the $2,385 Venmo payment at 317 on September 10th.
Yeah,
to her daughter. They're not going to let me go. Love you. There's a key to the house in the blue flower pot by the door. I mean, we look at that as investigators like, this lady is not sending that message to her daughter if she's in danger and someone's not going to let her go.
Right.
She's going to be like, Joe Blow is holding me here and they're going to kill me. If something happens to me, this is who did it. It's not going to be, a kumbaya message like
now,
that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did I not hear that it was the daughter that contacted the rental company to get the information on where the vehicle was?
Yeah, okay. It was. So she knew that the mom had, because she was only on the set in that location, close to the parents, close to her mom again for 2 days.
Yeah.
So Amanda shows up, and then 2 days later, the mom is dead. So, again, victimology comes into play here, and all of the people who are surrounding Debbie Collier, there's bad actors. Her daughter, who is a known drug addict and alcoholic, and her boyfriend, who are of the same, the same grain. So I think we can draw conclusions, and we can bet pensions. Tom doesn't have his yet, so we're not going to let him bet that one.
Well, I'll bet a pension check that the daughter knows exactly what that conversation was about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
100%. All right, man. Tom, I appreciate you.
Thank you,
coming on.
everybody. Ron, till next time. Ed,
Yep.
Tom, remember, Tom, don't show Ron the first grade handshake. Don't show.
all right, I won't.
All right.
Oh,
Take care, everybody. Be safe.
no.
Hold on a
Everybody.
second. One more thing I got to say before you go, Tom.
Okay.
Bueller,
Bueller.
Yeah.
Bueller,
There you go.
Bueller.
All right, Tom.
Oh,
There
10
you
minutes
go.
to Wapner.
All right, Ron.
See you later,
Take care.
brother. Thank you. All right, there he goes, our auto crime expert, Tom. And man, he had a long day. He was testifying in court, and I thank him for coming on and giving us a lot of knowledge when it comes to this car data. And I hope that everybody got quite a bit of information out of this one. I think we really covered a lot of ground with that Chrysler Pacifica. It's a 2022. I might have misspoke and said a 2020 or I don't know, 2012. I saw somebody in the chat trying to correct me. I love the Google police. They if you misspeak on a topic or on something, this is the live show.
They're all over you like white on rice, man.
Yeah, we're not reading off scripts. We're just reading off little cheat sheets and stuff like that. Like I have a whole. I'm gonna get a camera behind me so you could shoot it this way. You can see the back of my big head. But I want you guys to see my setup here because I have stickum notes all over. It could be just like Bruce Almighty. I could fill my room up with these little stickum notes. So,
Yes.
yeah, Ed, you got anything to add to this other than the crime, the auto crime stuff? This case is. I'm surprised that we don't have an arrest. It's Thursday. I predicted in the beginning of the week that we would have something by the end of the week. I mean, tomorrow is still another day, but it's shocking that they don't have anybody collared on this thing.
I think it's coming. I think they're dotting their I's and they're crossing their T's, and they're going to get a good, solid case. First of all, let's back up a little bit. The cause and manner of death has not come out. We don't know if this is a homicide. Okay.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you can't act on anything until you get that cause and manner of death. All right. So, you can get all the investigation, showing you different things and so forth and so on. If that medical examiner's report doesn't come out and say cause of death, homicide, manner, strangulation, manner, blunt force trauma, manner, whatever, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So,
you're right. You're right. So we're waiting. Yeah, the cause and manner is huge. That's going to be huge going forward for.
Oh God, what you don't want is a cuppy.
Oh, Barbara mentioned that the last time we had her on.
Yeah, causes undetermined pending police investigation. You never want that. That is the worst.
Yeah, I Love Labs is saying, why is it taking so long? Damn it.
Really, you and me both. I Love Labs. But hey, you want to talk about why is something taking so long? We still don't have toxicology from Alabama on the case of Cassie.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Schmitty, thanks for the super chat and this message about the Venmo being close to the boyfriend, with the boyfriend owes and court fees. I don't put any, and Ed, I'll put you on the spot because I think I did this already, but let's do it again. I don't put anything in that because it's a number, and I feel like that number was arbitrarily taken out of her account. I don't care how dumb you are as a criminal. You could be as dumb as a stump. Nobody's going to withdraw the exact amount of their court fees and say, you know what, I'm going to steal this money from this woman, and while I'm at it, I'm going to kill her. To me, I don't buy that. That to me is ridiculous. And
Well,
Fox
like I said,
News,
the
Fox News
investigation
put it out. Fox
Yeah.
News put that out. It's like garbage.
Yeah, well, the investigation will shake that out. So
It's laughable. It's actually
right.
laughable.
I mean, we don't know how much money mom had actually in her account. Okay, I mean, again, there's a conversation that we're missing here, and that has to do with the daughter, and the daughter knows why that amount came to her.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt in my mind that she knows why that amount. I mean, it wasn't, hey, well, here's some money, and this is where the key is.
Yeah.
Out of the blue. There was a
Exactly.
conversation that had to have occurred before these things occurred. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, the mother's like, oh, I'll just give my daughter this amount of money.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I doubt that happened that way.
No. Again, there's all different possibilities, and anything is possible here. But is it probable that Andrew said, let's hock $2,385 because it's just the amount I need to pay my court fees? These are junkie and drug addicts. These are drunks. They're going to take everything and anything that they can get. And look at how extreme this thing went. She winds up dead. So, again, I've been in this YouTube, on YouTube for going on 4 years now, and I've seen all kinds of ridiculous stuff. I've seen people in the Brian Laundrie. As a matter of fact, in the Brian Laundrie Gabby Petito case, there were YouTube content creators, and as a matter of fact, the same content creator that came up with the fact that they pulled out the same amount of money, it was mentioned in that Fox article. She went on to talk about Brian Laundrie's hand coming out of a flower pot, and also them hiding him in a bunker in the backyard.
On the ground,
remember that?
garden.
Ed?
Yes.
This is the same person that's coming from. It's freaking ridiculous.
Okay.
So I don't waste my time on it, but listen, some of our supporters keep sending us messages about it. I had to talk about it. I think it's just completely utter insanity. It's ridiculous. It's actually unfair to drag people into those rabbit holes, and look at where that got you. Talking about bunkers and underground stuff with Brian Laundrie. It's just ridiculous. A hand coming out of a flower pot. Come on.
And apparently many people on YouTube saw that. And I was like, what?
Oh,
and then where's Mr. Hand? Hit Mr. Hand quick.
What are you people? On dope?
Let me do that one more time.
What are you people? On dope?
Yeah. Oh my God. I got one more thing to say about that.
Oh, hell
no. You know what that reminds me of?
Pull it over.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Do you remember there was this woman on she became famous because she did this television interview about her apartment going on fire because she couldn't sleep and she wanted to go downstairs and get a pop, and then all of a sudden she turned around and found that her house was on fire and she had bronchitis, and she said, "Ain't nobody got time for that." And then that became this big YouTube
that
thing.
was all over the internet. Yes.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
We could pull that one up. I guarantee I can pull that.
That was hilarious. And then she did commercials, and ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Sweet Brown. That's right. Sweet Brown.
Yeah, there it is. Sweet Brown. So I knew someone was going to come out with that. Listen, again, we here on Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we stick to what's logical, what is factual, what a reasonable person would believe, but we're also giving it to you from a police perspective. So if you do like all things true crime related from a detective's perspective, please consider giving us a thumbs up. Liking, subscribing, and all of this stuff it's helpful, because you're going to put out information that's good, that is valuable, that is reliable, and is not some made up crazy wild speculation. And listen, kudos to the think tanks and to the people who knock their heads together and come up with ideas. I'm all for that. But when you send a group of people down ridiculous rabbit holes, that's really counterproductive, and it's really wasteful. You can't get that time back, Ed, right? Mm-hmm. We like to make it a learning day. Every day is a learning day, like you say, right?
That's it. Every day.
So we want to learn something new. And I think bringing guys like Tom on to talk to us about the capabilities of these vehicles, it stops us from going into crazy areas, and that's unfortunate that people do it. Ed, I appreciate you taking the time out. We're going to take a break. There's been a lot of crime going on. There was a stabbing in Vegas. There was a shooting at a Hampton Inn, I think, in somewhere in Indiana or somewhere in
Right up in Marriott, the father going to visit his kid at Marist College.
Right, that one. Yeah,
oh my God.
NYPD got cut off today in the Bronx, and they went up on a sidewalk, and 10 people were injured. There was just so much craziness going on, and look at what happened internationally. The shooting in that school, and oh my God, it's just mind-blowing. So guys, let's end this on a positive note. We're going to be following this case closely. Again, I have updates from Dylan Rounds that I'm going to be bringing to you probably tomorrow. Ed, I'm going to give him the day off because I've been really riding him hard here. So we got Candace Cooley's going to come on with us. We're going to talk. Yeah, Ed's shaking his head. He's a general contractor. He is a teacher. He's a homeowner. He's
where's Lieutenant Pete? Lieutenant Pete, I need you to sign my OT slip, and talk to payroll because I'm not getting paid.
All right, pull it over, Ed. Pull it over.
All right, step away from the overtime slip.
Yeah, it never ends. Eddie T, you said it real well. All right, guys. So look for some updates. We're going to talk about Harmony Montgomery. We're going to talk about Dylan Rounds in the near future, and we'll give you all kinds of updates. Yeah, the Polk County deputy that was killed, friendly fire. That was just the other day. Very sad situation. We buried our EMT. She was elevated from lieutenant to captain.
Posthumously.
Horrible.
Yeah,
that was heart-wrenching to watch that.
When I watched that video, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, her father and her sister. Oh my God. It was just terrible. All right, guys, as I like to end all these things, God bless the world, God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially all the victims of crime and their families. We send Debbie Collier's family, her husband, and all who loved her, strength, prayers, and positive vibes. Ed, I know you got something to say. We'll end it on it.
Okay, folks, stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Peace from New York, and I think New Jersey. You never know with Ed. Is it Jersey?
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Oh, jeez. Hold on.
Oh, hell no.
Good night, everybody.
Okay.